Pigeon racing has got to be in your blood. It all starts right here at the loft. You're a breeder, you're a flyer, you're a trainer.
Testing the limits on your birds, just seeing how far you've came from when they were born.
It's a lot of work. We had years where we didn't realize we needed to get up at 4 a.m. and train every single day. And our results showed it. The result is worth the work.
Most of the flyers here know each and every one of these birds from the day it was born until it shows back up at home from a race.
It could be from 500 miles. It could be from 600 miles. It makes it really, really exciting when they come home.
When I was a young teenager, my mentor, Randy Hansen, lived next door to me. And he used to fly the birds around the house and I got interested in it. Ever since then, today, we are still friends. He helped me get a lot of pigeons and I got into the sport. I've been flying here since 2008.
I always wanted an owl from Harry Potter, and instead of an owl, my grandpa sent me 10 white birds. And so I started off just raising white pigeons until my mom met a world-renowned pigeon flyer. He came over, he looked over our loft and stuff, gave us some pointers, and he brought 5 race birds with him, and he gave those to us as a gift, and that's how I got started racing. I was 8 when I started.
I kind of knew it was a thing, didn't really know anything about it, and it turns out in our very own backyard they're some of the most world-class pigeon racers there are. So Garrett flew by himself for 2 years, and then when we purchased our farm and moved up here, I started racing because I was driving the truck every day anyway. So I kind of got a little skin in the game and got my own team, so we compete against each other and work together with each other.
I actually started when we were living in Mexico at the time. I had a small little loft in the rooftop of my hometown. After a few years, we came to the United States. I forgot about the birds for quite a few years. Went back to Mexico in '84 and restarted with the pigeons again. A couple of years later, came back to the States. Forgot about the pigeons one more time, and I actually started back full-time, I want to say in 1998, and I haven't stopped ever since.
I got involved with pigeon racing from a family friend that had pigeons. I slowly got introduced at a young age and was always interested in pigeons. At some point, my friend's health deteriorated and asked me to take over for him, and I got his birds and started racing a few years after that. I first got homing pigeons in 2011, and my first racing season was young birds in 2014.
There's some people never heard of the sport before and they don't understand what it's all about. So I explained myself to them what I do. I breed them, I fly them, I train them, and I race them. Here we go. I got up at 5 this morning. We like to get them up early in the morning because later on in the day it'll be like 90, 91 degrees. You don't want to train pigeons then. Early morning is best to train pigeons. It's cooler in the morning. They perform better in the morning. They're here, you know. They come home. I just started these birds a week ago, and I've already got them 20 miles. Yesterday they beat me home for the first time. I put them in the basket, and we go out, maybe first time, not even a mile, and I cut them loose, and they come back. So then I keep going distance further and further every day until I get them 75 miles. I will take them 75 miles, and then we'll get together at the club, and all of us will put our birds in crates and take them 100 miles, and that should do it. What we're doing is preparing these birds for the races. Once we get them prepared and ready to rock and roll, we're good to go for the races.
I think people are a lot more familiar with maybe horse racing, thoroughbred racing. It's very similar. You're breeding the fastest against the fastest, trying to make a faster. You're testing them against themselves, against the generations before them, to get the faster bird, the smarter bird, the all-around bird. But it's very much not on a track, not with a jockey. It's they go on a trailer, they get released, and they fly home back to your house. We're going to take the highway today, so it shouldn't be maybe 35, 40 minutes.
Me and my mom get up at 4 a.m. almost every morning. We crate the birds. I go back to bed for a little bit. At 6, I usually either take them or my mom takes them before work.
We're going to go to Cannon Falls, Minnesota, at 43 air miles.
We're just trying to get them ready for that first race and get them conditioned enough for them to be able to make it home at the beginning of the season.
Race day, we'll ship the birds, put them in big crates, still put them on the big truck. One of our guys from our club, he'll take them to their destination, say it's 100 miles. He'll go 100 miles, and then all of the birds are all together.
We usually start off the season with like a 100 mile, then we go up to 150 and then 200, then 300, 400, and then we do a 600 at the end of the season usually.
When they come home from a race, they got a chip on their foot. When they go across this pad, it goes into the clock all by itself. You don't even have to be home, but I'm home every time these birds come. And once it registers, that bird's done for the day.
It's all based on yards per minute, so the bird with the highest yards per minute of that race is the winner. And races can be won by a millisecond.
When we get home, on the menu for training, it will tell us which birds have arrived and which ones are missing. So no pigeons yet. When we get home, it should have everybody in the clock, and it'll show the number. And that's what happens on race day too. At our house, Garrett and I compete against each other. We sit at the patio and we wait for the birds to land on the loft. At the end of the day, then our result is fed to our club members, who generally live very close to us. Then we get a club result. So maybe we have 7 people flying in our club. We know how well we did next to those 7 people. And then the next level up is the combine. And so the combine then is a group of clubs that are in a geographical area. Then after the combine results, that becomes the concourse. So we're part of what's called the Heartland Federation concourse. Combines come together to the concourse, and that's how we ship our birds. And so on any given day, we have our club result, we have our combine result, and then we have a concourse result. So you may have won your club, but you're maybe 50th in the concourse. All the results feed up into the national database, and you have national results as well.
This is just a 2 or 3 day old baby right here. Old birds, will fly them April, May, and June, and that'll be it for old birds. Now young birds start the end of July.
Anything under a year old is considered a young bird, and an old bird is anything from the year before or up. Young birds are really unpredictable. They're not used to races, they're not used to race crates. They're not in a routine like the old birds Old bird's a little bit laid back. They've done it for a couple of years. They know what they're doing.
See, what I'm gonna do with my young birds, see, I'm gonna fly the north course, so I'm gonna train them south, because at a race day, if it's windy and them birds get blowing south, they know how to come home. Then I'll shift them north, and they should know both directions, north, west, and south. It might take my birds a little longer today to get home because they've never been north.
For us, the big geographical marker is the river. And because we fly against so many flyers that are in the Twin Cities, it's really easy for the birds to follow the pack into the cities. So we need them to know as soon as they can see the river, or when they see like Zumbrota, Minnesota, or Owatonna, that it's time to start fighting in the river, and be smart enough to know that it's time to break from the pack.
Are you there? Is that you right there? All right, I'm here. This is my mentor right here.
Normally in California, I used to make my pigeons on Thanksgiving Day. Here in Wisconsin, depending on the weather, it could be January or February. Whenever you made your birds, normally it takes about 10, 12 days, depending on how the mating goes, for those hens to lay their first egg. Here in Wisconsin, I noticed that it takes them a little bit longer due to the weather. It's very cold. This is only for breeding. As you can see, we have 4 nest boxes here. This is where all the magic happens. This one here, and then this is my other breeding section on that side. It has been my experience that pigeons can identify colors. Before, when I used to have nothing but plain nest fronts, there was always a lot of fighting because the birds cannot recognize everything at the same time. But now that I have a different color set up, now they can come in here and you avoid the fighting of the cocks because they're very territorial. It takes about 3 months, 3 to 3.5 months for you to be able to raise those couple of rounds of babies, and then you start separating all of your birds because you don't want them to keep reproducing in themselves. See, this is where all the males are right now. Okay. I can separate my sexes. The cocks will be on that side. My young hens will be here. My old hens will be on this section here, and then my cocks will be on the last section. The pigeons that you see out on the streets, they're pigeons that they have never been taken care of. The pigeons here are very healthy. I vaccinate my pigeons for paramyxovirus, for salmonella, pox, any type of respiratory issues. So I can almost guarantee you that the pigeons here are pretty much a lot healthier than the chicken that we eat. You have to do all of those things. So when the birds you're gonna make your pigeons, you're gonna know that those pigeons are gonna be 100% healthy. So your babies, in theory, they're gonna be healthier. On their tag here, you have 2 kind of identification numbers. This is the one that we get from the club, okay? The Kenosha Racing Pigeon Club. And then their band number. This, I have the records. It shows the band number, it shows the color, it shows the sex, it shows everything. In the wing, you can tell when a pigeon is a fast pigeon, okay? When it's more of a distant bird, depending on how the wing is structured or how the steps are in the wing. You know, a lot of times you will have a pigeon race that is going to be 1,800 yards per minute, okay? The next week, it's 1,000 yards per minute. So you need to have a strong family of pigeons that is going to be able to fly the fast races and also to be able to handle the hard and tough races. I mean, it's just like horses. The horses that they will run a mile with no problems. Some horses that they will be able to race 2 miles without a problem. The quarter of a mile horse is going to be faster at the beginning. It will run the 2 miles, but it's not going to be able to have the same stamina, the same strength. Same thing with the pigeons. So you have to have a little variation of pretty much what your intentions might be. I like to buy all my seeds separately, and I just do my own mix according to whatever I'm doing that particular time of the year. Right now they don't need a lot of protein. Okay. They'll learn that when you whistle at them, they have to go inside and eat. That is the only way that you can control the birds, with the feed. If those birds are overfed, they can stay around here for 24 hours. They won't go inside. So the hawk's gonna get them. By the time I'm done training these birds, I'm gonna be able to fly at least a couple of hours on their free will. Open the doors, they'll go out, fly a couple hours, they come back. They have pretty much about 30 seconds to go inside. Typical day, get up in the morning, get my cup of coffee going, come back to the loft, clean it, feed them, and forget about them. You know, pigeons are supposed to be, a stress reliever, okay? Not a job, okay? You need to have fun with the birds, but you cannot be married to the birds 24/7. At least I've never been able to do that.
Today we're doing our second young bird race of the 2020 season from Platteville, Wisconsin. Approximately 120 for the short guys and 150 miles for the longer flyers. When I get here in the morning, I start by finding a good place to park, get our trailer open up, the birds get watered, and get ready for liberation. Today we're having 2 releases, what we call an A release and a B release. Our A release gets let out at 7 o'clock and B release is an hour later. 75 to 80 birds in the first release, and the second release will be double that. I have Southwest 5 to 10. I start that by calling our race secretary back in Fond du Lac and confirming with him that weather in Fond du Lac and along the way is safe for the birds to travel through, and shortly thereafter we'll release the birds. The pigeons would usually travel 45 miles an hour, so the guys should expect them back around 10 o'clock.
We have no idea how they do it. Scientists don't know, they've studied it. Somehow they have an internal GPS, visual signs, but we do know that wherever they live when they're weaned, which is about 28 to 32 days, and they settle with where the sun is generally where they will home back to. 40.89, so 41 miles. The red line is their line and the blue is ours. We have to drive 63 miles and they only fly 41. And so they learn that location. We take them out, we train them, not so much to learn their way home, but to build muscle and build those visual signs. Like, okay, I know that I've just crossed the Mississippi River, I must be close to Wisconsin. I see the water tower, I'm nearly home to the loft. Weather patterns that mess up the electromagnetic field of the earth, we know that the birds don't home as well in those days. So it has something to do with the electromagnetic field of the earth. Whether they can see that or not, we still really honestly don't know. So this bird actually has a molted plate. So this feather right here has molted, and now the new one is growing out. So this is 10, 9, 8, 7, so that's its 6th flight. We really don't want to fly them in a race when they're 8th, 9th, or 10th they're molted out, because that's where the bulk of their strength is. And then this guy has a really good white sear on his nose, which means his respiratory health is very good. He's able to breathe well. He's got a good sheen, so his nutrition is good.
All right.
He needed to get started, so I gave him a bunch of birds, and he started winning last year, his first races. You got to put the work in. The birds still need to be on a schedule, and you need to turn around and put the work into them in order to get whatever's in them out of them. You can condition any pigeon, but there's only a handful of birds that are worthwhile every year, and the rest of them are just pigeons. But you got to find which ones those are, and the only way you're going to find out that is to put them in the races.
"40 pigeons from 25 miles. They flew good this morning on a nice clear day like today. This sport has changed since I've been in the sport. Its numbers are getting low, and we always looking for new members. I do mentor a lot of people here in this sport. One guy helps another guy here. Like my mentor helped me, I help the next guy. We need this sport to keep going. I love to do this hobby. I've been doing it all my life, but I hope I fly till I'm 70, 80 years old like some of these guys do.
Pigeon racing is slowing down. The youth aren't as interested. It's more of a difficult competition. It's important to know that we don't just grab a couple birds out of our buildings and bring them to the race here today and wish them luck. We put a lot of hours in training and breeding and healthcare to get them here today.
My own personal belief, if there's anything that I can do to help any of my club members or even my competitors, I will do it, because it's going to help me acknowledge that what I believe is working or is not working.
Taking a bird 100 miles away and having it come back to your house is a pretty cool idea. There's not many young people doing it anymore, so it definitely is dying. I'll probably not have any during college, and then after college, I'll definitely start back up again.
I think as a parent, you have a different perspective of letting something go and having faith that it's just going to come back again. I cry almost every spring the first time we let the young birds out. They're learning to use their wings. They have no idea how to stop sometimes. They have no idea how to go sometimes. And then the first time that they actually make it home from a race, like, you know it's supposed to happen, but until it actually happens right in front of your face, it's really an incredible feeling to see them. That first bird home it's a thrill.